In the Create This book, we've used paint, markers, and even collage. But do you know what no one's used? Nail polish. We have to try it. The IKEA paper is out and a cutting board because today we are trying the water marbling technique, but the paper doesn't fit. How did I miss that? Well, let's cut it up. Let's cut loads of different pieces of paper. I think we're gonna need quite small pieces because from what I remember, when you pop nail polish in water, it doesn't spread very much. So I think this box is gonna be perfect with a little bit of water. Also, reaching for the cocktail sticks. We'll get into that in a little bit. The biggest component is the nail polish, and specifically the bad ones that I don't really use. Reaching for all of those that crack within about 2 hours. They don't even last the full day. Those are the ones that we're reaching for, and not the best ones, because I try to avoid using them. Well, now that everything's set up, what is the first prompt? A little bit of bleed through from last time. It is create swirls. Avoiding that whole other sentence and going straight in with nail polish in water. Drop some pieces down, stretch it a little bit with a cocktail stick, and hope it doesn't all fall apart like this, because then you have to scrap the whole thing and start again. But that's actually not too bad, because the nail polish kind of needs to settle a bit in the water. That's why these first two are an absolute disaster and they're being scrapped immediately. I don't know, it kind of like primes the surface so that we can stick something in and get a pattern like this. Well, maybe not exactly like this. So I have tried this technique a couple of times before as a child on my own nails. I have never tried it on paper, and some of these are a complete fail. They're just not working. It's a really tricky technique because we're trying to make the pattern as big as possible, but if you go slightly too big, you destroy the entire thing. So I think I've made these pages a little bit too big. I think the paper needs to be smaller because the nail polish is just not stretching enough to fill it, and I don't want to waste a ton of paper. And even though we're getting the technique down and making less mistakes, it is inevitable. So many of these pieces are getting scrapped, as you can see, because they're just not working out. But how gorgeous is this one? This is definitely the favorite so far. I believe it's called water marbling because it kind of looks like marble on water. And when I did this as a child and I did it on my nails, this is the exact same technique, and you would just pop your nails in instead of the paper. And it's actually super quick because if you make it nice and big, you can kind of stick your entire hand in at once. And so it's a really quick way to paint your nails. And generally it only needs one layer. And I actually found that it didn't chip as much. It might be because it's like a really thin layer. But yes, that's the last time that I tried this technique. We're talking almost 10 years ago. And I'm not sure about these patterns. It's not what I was expecting. I was hoping for it to be a little bit more like marble zigzags. But unfortunately, I'm just not able to do that whilst trying to make the piece as big as possible. If you stretch the cocktail stick just a little bit too far, it goes into the water, and that's when the entire thing has to be scrapped. So the prettier pieces are the really small ones, but if we keep going really small, I don't know if we're gonna have enough pieces of art to actually create something. I'm trying to make this as big as possible without wasting too much nail polish, but some of these patterns are not it. You know what though? I think we have enough to get started. Opting for a lovely pink theme and reaching for the cutting board and a knife and obviously a glue stick. I don't know about you, but this one is my favorite. And this is where we're starting, obviously. I don't have much experience using a cutting knife, but also we've got a lot to get through. We are still doing the 2 prompts, as always, in these Create This book episodes. If you haven't checked out the playlist, it's down below. There's a lot of videos in it. So we're not going right up to the edge on all of them. We're not getting it completely perfect. When this is stuck down on the page, a lot of it isn't even going to be visible. We need even more cutting loosely around the edge. Honestly, on the page, I don't think it's going to be very noticeable. This page is gonna look crazy. You're either gonna like it or you're not. It's gonna be a lot, okay? And I don't know how we're gonna turn all of this into a prompt. Can you believe we need even more pieces to fill this page? The prompt is to create swirls. We want the page to be a lovely pink theme, and luckily there were lots of pink nail polish that wasn't very good, so we got a lot to choose from. Also loving the yellow. The yellow's in a lot of these because it's just so pretty, and all of these lovely unique shapes are getting stuck down on the page. We definitely need to cover all of this bleed through, so we picked out the cutest, pinkest swirls and just made a crazy pretty collage, really making the most of all of those lovely patterns. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, there wasn't much of a plan for this page. Originally, I was planning to get all of the lovely little nail polish sections and cut them all out into spirals. That was the first plan. Then I fell in love with a lot of these patterns. I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect them to look this pretty in a really chaotic way. Like some of these shapes, I just do not have the heart to cut them up. I couldn't do it. I could not make myself do that. Then I read the prompt again, and it's actually create swirls. I kind of thought it was spirals for a little bit. And then I looked at all these pieces and was like, hang on, they already look like swirls, right? Like the nail polish has swirled in the water. Literally all of these look like swirls by themselves. So we're filling the entire page with a collage, trying to make all of the pieces interlink. So it's a full page of swirls. Just a few little pieces of paper left, and then this whole page is full. Like, look how crazy it looks. The edges are all cut off, but we have covered up the prompt. We had to. The bleed through was coming through. So we're popping that down again, and I can't wait to show you the close-ups at the end. Moving on to the second prompt. Create a short story. Write a story using only 5 sentences and give it a creative title. I thought of The Wizard of Oz, this scene, using nail polish. Can we do that? I have green. It's nowhere near the right color. This is the only green that I have, and there's a lot of green in this scene. We need lots of paper, and this time it's tiny. There is a little bit of a technique, but again, the first one was a complete fail. At this point, I'm really not sure how much nail polish we've used up because it's not dripping like it used to. But also, we are using a lot more. You can see just how much bigger these patterns are compared to previous. You know what though? They have to be bigger. Otherwise, we're gonna be here for the entire week. Like, some of those were tiny. And the smaller the patterns are, the harder it is to cut. These ones are like double the size. Like, look how big these are. Some lovely pink pieces for the flowers in the scene. Obviously green for the grass, green for the Emerald City. And there are some rocks too. We're working with it. But I don't think this green is looking like green in the slightest. It looks grey. And that's kind of disappointing because that's the only nail polish in this collection that I actually like that will stay on for an entire day. And we're still making so many mistakes. But we have to do it. We know we need lots of pieces of paper. Like, I can't even tell you how many pieces of paper we're making right now. We need options, we need color, and we're trying to get the prettiest patterns possible. Some are abandoned completely. Well, they fail. And others just don't really work. So the green and the yellow. You would not believe how long it took to dry the paper. Yes, it was completely soaking in water, but every single sheet needed the hairdryer for a crazy length of time. So this is our green. This is the green, best we can do. We're cutting out the Emerald City. We've also got rocks, we've got flowers, and we have, of course, the yellow brick road. And that's where that gorgeous yellow comes in. This is abstract. I'm just gonna say it now. I want to keep these lovely shapes. That's why we're using the cutting knife. We're cutting around these natural shapes that I would never choose. Because honestly, these crazy shapes, I just don't have the heart to cut right through the middle and turn it into something boring. They are pretty. They're crazy. They look like they're made in water, which of course they were. So let's go with that. There was no plan going into this. I couldn't remember what the marble looked like. I couldn't remember the shapes. I looked up some videos to try and jog my memory, but every single time you do this technique, it looks different. Like even these pieces here look different from the ones we created at the beginning. So there's no way to plan around it. We're going with the flow. We're creating something that is just a bunch of crazy patterns, and we're somehow gonna create a movie scene, I guess. We do that a lot on this channel. If you're new here, there's a series called the Scene Series where we paint movie scenes together and have a chat about them. The playlist is below. Oh, but I do actually want to let you know, I've done a huge revamp of the playlists on my channel. Every video is in one playlist, unless it has to be in another. And I've also created some crazy big playlists with like all of 2022's videos in order, and also 2023, 2024, 2025. So if you're watching on a TV, you can just grab a playlist and watch all of the videos I've created in order. I don't know about you, but I love playlists because sometimes you can be watching a YouTube video and it will literally send you to a completely different channel with a completely different video in a completely different genre. I don't know where the algorithm takes us sometimes, and that's where playlists are good. Yeah, just quickly wanted to mention that. And also, whilst we're here, I would like to thank my Patreon supporters. Sketchbook buddies, your names are on screen. Can you see this piece coming together? Can you see the vision? As I said, it's abstract. It's obviously not going for realism. The green is very much just a hint of green. All of that grey you can see, that is technically green. It looks green on nails. I don't understand why it doesn't look green on paper. There are key features to this landscape, and I'm hoping as long as we get those in, it will be somewhat recognizable. The prompt was create a short story. So obviously, naturally, I thought of The Wizard of Oz. And funnily enough, even though I often don't follow the second prompt that comes with it, that sentence that kind of tells you what to do, instead of 5 sentences, picture 5 words. Follow the yellow brick road. And I thought that was a sign. Okay, I do have a little secret if you've made it this far. I was actually in agony this day. I injured myself at the very beginning and was in so much pain completing this entire thing. So here's an embarrassing extended clip of it happening. Yep, I was ill, holding in a cough, and in the process, I guess I pulled a muscle in my back. So I was hunched over for days, and that is literally all that happened. So a little reminder to be kind to yourself, to your body, and don't hold in a cough. A gold gel pen, just to reiterate what we're trying to create here. Writing down the words, follow the yellow brick road, around the outside of the yellow brick road. Well, that was crazy. And finally, I get to show you everything up close. The first prompt is to create swirls. So we picked out the cutest, pinkest swirls and just made a crazy pretty collage. Really making the most of all of those lovely patterns. Like, how pretty are all of these? Oh, I'm in love. And then for the second prompt, we had create a short story and loosely made an abstract version of The Wizard of Oz. We've got the yellow brick road, all of these pretty patterns, the rocks and flowers are sort of in the right area, and of course we have the Emerald City in the middle for this crazy piece. Thank you for joining me today. I really hope you liked this one, and if you did, please give it a like. I'll see you back here on Sunday. Bye bye.